theater. And this was a story that I felt needed to be told on the screen. And I'm really passionate about telling stories about creating safe spaces for Black boys and examining, are there really safe spaces for Black boys within our society? So that was a lot of the inspiration from a real life experience, and then hoping to reclaim that and share that and hopefully inspire others.
And when he came to me to direct it, because I really loved the story and the passion that it was an autobiographical story, I really wanted to do something that was more about transcending your boundaries. That, because sometimes when younger people take something you love from you and you lose all connection from it. So I felt like it was symbolic of reconnecting with what you love or your own magic, your own joy. So, yeah, symbolic, it's a metaphor for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love that the ocean is part of that. The Idaho mother aspect of this. Yeah, like where do you go to reconnect?
You pick up on that.
Yeah, beautiful. I wanted to ask because I've actually had this experience myself at the ocean. The first time I was told to go back to Africa, and I actually had this happened to me. So was this like that true for you?
Yeah, the experience in the pool was it's true, and I find that pools are really a space where, as a kid, you can have traumatic experiences. I mean, all types of things, from body image to safety. Like, pools are really interesting spaces as a kid where lots of things happen, and I don't think there are too many stories that showcase that. So I was excited to share that. Yeah, and I think for me, ultimately, it's about facing your fear, and as an adult, as a young adult, the character Eric, as well as myself, looking back and being like, I can change this story for myself.
I'll open it up to the audience.
Okay, so the part where your mom, after you was okay and she's yelling at you, did you ever tell your mom what really happened in the story, or did she watch this and was like, this happened to you and you didn't tell me? Like, you ever had a conversation?
Yeah, my mom's there.
See, you know what? Okay, because I'm a mom, and I'm like, okay, now when my kids got the pool, I have to start asking more specific questions, because that right there, like, I felt so, that was like probably the most emotional piece for me, was like, because I could feel how she felt, like you going under, because that, yes, too, I have a swim story too, but so that part right there, I was like, oh my God, and I was like, why don't you just say, they called me this, like, why, like.
Yeah, my parents, they.
Not till years later.
College.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell us then. A friend of his said, did you read about it? Did you see this report, story that Eric wrote? He got a real good grade on it. I said, no, I didn't hear anything about it. And she went on to tell us about it, and then we questioned him about it. Then he finally told us. We had no idea it happened. None at all. So, 19, I think, is when he got this.
I mean, he didn't even tell me it was autobiographical until halfway through the production. Did this really happen to you? Oh, yeah. This is, I was like, what the hell, man?
Grace.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I'd love to connect
Hi,
with
Alyssa.
a friend of mine in DC who runs an organization called BlackKidsSwim.com, and who's also a playwright, so I think you guys have a lot. But I was really, I felt like, and I don't know if this was the case intentionally, but I felt like the pivotal moment was watching it was when you actually were, when you were young, in the pool, and the kids were saying swim, swim, swim as a taunt, but then I felt like all of a sudden it shifted to like cheering you on. And I just wondered, at what point, throughout the film, did you intend for it to be kind of this shift or transition from the fear to the courage?
Well, from the narrative structure of the story, we was trying to use a lot of symbolism in a sense, because the story was rich with like emotion, because it was a true story and the event, and normally like Eric was saying, pools are tormenting places, and you don't normally associate Black people with swimming in American culture, although we swim all over the Caribbean, which makes no sense. We go to the water all the time. But the pivotal moment is actually the whole film is about him being in that pivotal moment as an adult. So from the beginning of the movie, him getting into the water for the first time again, that's why people want him to do some crazy flip, dive thing off the thing. We're like, oh, he's an Olympic swimmer now. We want to make it like that. We want to make it more realistic, you know what I mean? And the pivotal moment is basically almost like the entire film is the pivotal moment. And that's the pivotal moment in his life. And while he's up there, the fears that go through our mind and attack us emotionally from the past, it comes back, but he reclaims the magic inside himself. And that's where he moves forward, because it's a metaphor. We all are facing fears of something that traumatic experience from our childhood, and we still feel it defines us when we're so much stronger than we were back then, and we're so much bigger than we were back then. And that's when he moves forward. I think when he opens his eyes, and he remembers his joy as a kid, and he's on the beach, and he opens his eyes, and he opens his eyes as an adult, and he's like, he claims, I am the magic, he declares it within himself. That's supposed to be the pivotal moment with the jump. The music even gets louder at that point.
One of the things that I thought about was this idea of just connecting young people, and if you were planning to travel this, I think this is a really good motivational film in such a way that it can be something that can be used in educational spaces. Have you guys?
Thank you. Yeah. Let me know about opportunities. I've thought about that. So, two things. One thing I'll say, because I want anyone to say I didn't tell them. So it was true to the extent that I learned how to swim to make the film. So I didn't know how to swim before the film.
Yeah.
So So this was a big exercise in facing my fears. And I want it to inspire people. I want to take it to schools. I want to take it. I've talked about like potentially trying to talk to the Red Cross and see if they might be interested in being associated with it. But yeah, I definitely I had a small screening event in New York, and I had an inspirational speaker there and a magician there, because that's what I want this movie to be associated with. I want it to inspire people and get people to really rediscover their own personal magic, their ability to do anything that they believe is possible. It's all within you.
Jump.
Yeah, jump. Jump. Will you jump is our hashtag.
Yeah.
Hashtag will you jump.
Did anybody cry?
I have a question over here.
So this is piggybacking on that too. I mean, that's exactly what I felt like. I was connected to my childhood, and I think everyone resonates with that moment. And so I think also the opportunity for dialogue with young people, and so creating spaces where we're able to show this film and have you kind of lead dialogue around this after, I think is so valuable. Yeah. Yes, we'll talk, because I think that there's plenty of youth organizations in Philly here just to start off with, where we can set up the screening and the dialogue after, which I think would be huge. And even youth then leading that discussion with other youth or with younger youth.
Yeah, because you think about developing like a curriculum with it as well, like we was talking about, you know, so.
And adults too, by the
Speaking-
way. My mom doesn't know how to swim, so I think she probably be like, oh, okay, now I can.
Speaking of youth, how difficult was it to work with the children and have them say kind of those words and that emotion and their parents and dealing with their parents?
This was one of the, in a sense, one of the most difficult films I've ever directed, because you're dealing with 2 of the 3 no's, like no kids, no pets, no water. So we didn't have any pets, but we had like 3 kids, so it was almost as bad. But even from the audition process, which was crazy, because we had so many different kids coming in, and some kids, the last 2 kids that we had, one of them looks like that kid looks like a clone of him, right? His younger self, right? He was bugging us out. It was like, yo, that's you as a kid. Like, it was crazy. And then we also had another kid who was good, but he was almost too rough. We needed a kid that was more vulnerable. But like working with kids in water, I basically ended up having to be in the water almost the whole time with them, just for the blocking predominantly, and so they wouldn't run amok, because you give them any open space, they just started going crazy. Then the extras taught, they didn't know that they thought they was just kids playing in the pool. So when they was rehearsing, they started calling him the N-word. They was like, oh my God, what's going on? It was great. So it was like, no, they're rehearsing. But it was great, and Eric really was, working with Eric, of course, we worked together. This is our second film together. So it was good, but him facing, he showed a lot of coverage, just getting up there. That thing was high as hell. I don't know if you can tell in the movie. It's like, how much feet is that?
It's over 30 feet. Right?
Yeah. So and he's like, oh, I don't really know how to swim. I'm getting back into swimming right now. I'm like, damn, we need some life rods. I'm like, really protect this guy. Make sure. So there was a lot of like anxiety making this film, but there was a lot of magic moments. I felt like.
And also, I'll just mention the kids during the audition process. So. We had some of the white kids say the N word, right?
Yeah.
And they were very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like that was an interesting.
How was the parents like?
Well, the
taking
parents. I got a call during the audition process from one parent that was going crazy, and I mean her son did not end up getting cast at all. But she was like calling to check in about the word because she was like, my friend has a black boyfriend and he said that and it like got really she was doing too much.
Alternate words like,
yeah.
Can she say Negro or?
So it was interesting that process.
That's awesome.
And how was it for the boy though for them to say it to him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, did you have like a little conversation about it
Yeah.
and like what you were trying to do before you know?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think we both spoke to him
Yeah,
on multiple
and his
occasions,
mother.
and his mother
Okay.
about it. They understood what we was trying to do because, like, we were very, transparent, about the intention and the emotion that we trying to arise. So we told them like we wanna. That word's so ugly and so nasty that we wanted it to we wanted the audience to feel that ugliness because everybody goes through an ugly period in their life, so we felt like it had to be kind of raw, even though the film is light overall. We felt that moment had to be raw, so people can see where the hate's coming from. But we also wanted it to not be about the kid himself.
Yeah.
He's saying his daddy says that, so it's like a generational thing. You see that it's like
Yeah.
passed on something that he was taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was about.
There was another.
Got a technical question for you. So I overheard you saying that you shot in 4K.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit about your decisions around like what and how you shot? I guess particularly with like people of color. I noticed. I mean, it was beautiful. Like the skin tone,
Okay.
absolutely gorgeous. And I know that that's a difficult thing sometimes to